and welcome from my little reading space here in Vienna. My name is Luise, I'm a literature student and writer, and I thought let's have a look into my bookshelf, and I want to talk about some of my favorite books or some books that really have a special place in my heart out of various reasons. It is also finally autumn, and nothing can make me happier than the season of autumn, which is my second favorite season, and then afterwards winter. Really excited, and I think this is also the best time for book lovers because it's like this official permission to be inside when it's already dark outside and read your books. I also finally finished my book nook. I originally wanted to film making this, but it took a couple of months actually to finish it because it was quite tricky and I didn't have a lot of time. But now my little Shakespeare bookstore is finished, and you also have light in there, which is really cool. Another addition to my bookshelf. So my bookshelf is what you can see behind me. It's not that big, and I have tried to keep it small out of various reasons. The first one is that since I moved to Vienna, I have moved quite often, and I just wanted to keep my moving experiences as, okay as possible. And anyone who helped moving my stuff always was like, these damn literature students with all their books. Even though I don't even have that many. And I also love libraries, so I borrow a lot from the library. I also work as a library assistant. So there are lots of books that I absolutely love, I just don't have them as a printed copy. And there was once this moment where I thought I need to get rid of some books which still feel so wrong to me that I really did that, but it was when I moved from my hometown to Vienna, and I just gave away some of my young adult books where I felt like I will never read these again, but just out of pure nostalgia I think I should have kept them. But anyways, now let's get into it. The first book I want to mention is Just Kids by Patti Smith. I love Patti Smith so much. She is such an inspiring artist in so many ways. She is a very interesting person, and these are like her memoirs, and there is also a second one which is also in my bookshelf somewhere behind all of these books. M-Train, it's called M-Train. I have several books by Patti Smith, and it's not only reading about her life, which is already quite captivating, the time that she describes, the surrounding that she was in, but she also has this very, very beautiful language. It's wonderful to read, and I can't wait to read M-Train. I have read this a couple of years ago, and I've been waiting for a moment to have a quiet headspace for the second book. I want to do a separate video where I talk about Patti Smith. I also wrote a paper about Patti Smith. It was on pop culture and literature and comparing Patti Smith's work with poems by William Blake. The blurb says, Just Kids begins as a love story and ends as an elegy. It serves as a salute to New York City during the late 60s and 70s, and to its rich and poor, its hustlers and hellions. A true fable, it is a portrait of two young artists' ascent, a prelude to fame. It's very touching, it's very sad, and it is brilliant. When we discuss very beautiful language, very poetic, I am including this little poetry book by Keaton Henson. He's an artist, singer and writer, and his work is very special. I also got this little book by a very special friend. If she's seeing this, I'm sending her lots of love to London. So this is Keaton Henson's Idiot Verse, and he writes poetry. I love his music. It's very melancholic and sad. So it's a vibe. If you're not in a good mood, maybe don't listen to it, but it's beautiful, and his lyrics are so poetical. I always have to think of my high school years when I listened to Keaton Henson, because this was a time where I very much loved listening to it, where it really resonated with me. I love this one. It's a very short one. Smoke signals. I'm smoking a lot and starting to doubt if I'm breathing you in or smoking you out. It also has some very nice illustrations, so it's great. I love it. I don't know if you saw anything. The next two are a very different category. These are letters from Marie Antoinette. She's Austrian, and then she became Queen of France. These are the letters that she wrote with her mother, Maria Theresia. And these are the letters between her and Axel von Fersen. There is this whole narrative that they had a romantic relationship. This theory is not based on any facts. We only know that he was probably very important for her life. I don't have time to get into this. It's very interesting. I love this historical figure, Marie Antoinette. I wrote a paper on her back in school, part of my A-levels. And for that, I had to read a lot of stuff about her. Also, Stefan Zweig's biography about Marie Antoinette, which is not really a great source because it's very subjective, but still lovely to read. These books really stand for my interest in history, and I love reading letters. They just uncover so much from a person. This also reflects my current master thesis work and all that, so it's been an interest of mine for a very long time, even when I was still in school. The next one is by Jostein Gaarder. This is a Norwegian author, and the book is called Der Geschichtenverkäufer. I don't know what the original title is. Let me see. The Norwegian original title is Sirkusdirektørens datter. You might know this author from the book Sophie's World, and I think it is also translated in English, but with this one I'm not sure, maybe, perhaps. This author writes in a very philosophical way, and I also saw him at a reading at Frankfurter Buchmesse once, and he's so nice and interesting, and the way he sees and describes things is very special. And this book, I love it so much, and I'm just waiting for a time to reread it. So the blurb says, oh, it's in German. I'm gonna read it anyways. Über Jahre hat er sein geheimes Netz gesponnen und nie damit gerechnet, dass er sich einmal selbst darin verfangen könnte. Die Tragikomödie eines Mannes, der mit Geschichten handelt und nicht ahnt, dass sie gefährlicher werden können als das Leben. So it's about a man who sells ideas for stories, and he kind of builds this whole network, but obviously it gets a little bit troubling, and then there are also some private stories of his that get intertwined in this whole business affair, but it's so beautifully written. And you also get to read the plot ideas where you fall into a different story every once in a while, and you get sucked in by that, and then you go back to the normal story. The next one is When the Night Comes by Favel Parret. I have a second book by her at home as well. Oh, there is a suggested playlist in the back. That's so cool. The author is Australian, and I saw this when I was in high school. I don't remember exactly, and it basically spoke to me because of the icebergs on the cover, and I've always loved Antarctica and the Arctic. Whenever I see a book with ice or snow on it, I get drawn to it. And this book I think I reread it at some point, and I would love to reread it again. A young girl in Tasmania learning what is important in life and whom to trust. A crewman on an Antarctic supply ship, a modern Viking, searching to understand his past and find a place in this world. When their paths cross, he teaches her the gift of stillness, of watching birds, and shares tales of sailing south to the ice. She shows him what is missing in his life. Though their time together is cut short when his noble ship is lost, these small gifts have been enough to set her path towards the sea. So I just love the setting in the Antarctica, and this book just brings up a lot of very beautiful pictures. Another one that I read a long time ago, so I'm realizing these are lots of books that I read during my high school time, and after that I started studying, and I mostly read for university, which always has this very different feeling to it, reading something for university. I don't know, it feels like, not that I'm not interested in the books or that I don't like them, but it's kind of, I have to read them and work with them academically, which is a different way of reading a book because you have to pay attention in a different way. So anyways, this is another book that I read during high school. It's called Emmaus by Alessandro Baricco, if that's how you pronounce it. It starts very heavy. Also, the language is very straightforward in a beautiful way. So the German blurb says, Wer ist die rätselhafte André, die sich allen gibt und niemandem gehört? Ein Wesen von gefährlicher Schönheit bricht in das Leben von 4 Freunden ein und verändert es für immer. This is from an Italian author and I read the German translation obviously. And it tells the story about friendship and love, and also very much dives into religion. And I think it's very interestingly made that a few of the characters are in a religious surrounding and some of them aren't, and it's a short novel that really had a great impact on me. It also motivated me to write my own stories and to, get my ideas out into the world. This is The Sandman by E.T.A. Hoffmann. It's quite popular. Everyone reads it in school here. It's so brilliant that I don't even know what to say. Aber die grässlichste Gestalt hätte mir nicht tieferes Entsetzen erregen können als eben dieser Coppelius. Denke dir einen großen, breitschultrigen Mann mit einem unförmlichen, dicken Kopf, erdgelbem Gesicht, buschigen grauen Augenbrauen, unter denen ein paar grünliche Katzenaugen stechend hervorfunkeln, großer, starker, über die Oberlippe gezogener Nase. It's a gothic tale and it's all about madness. It reminds me of Edgar Allan Poe in some ways, and it's brilliant. It's very short, so you can squeeze this in if you like stories like this. These 2 books, I put them together because they kind of fall into a similar category for me, because I saw the series first from Alias Grace and The Queen's Gambit. I think they are both on Netflix. And I loved these series so much, and then I felt like, okay, maybe I'll read the books. And I was a bit hesitant because very often when you already know the story, you already saw the series or the movie, and then reading the books, it's, I don't know, disappointing or not that interesting anymore. But with these 2, it was not the case. I love the books so much. So this is Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. It tells the story of a woman who is accused of murder. It's also inspired by a real story, and I mean, Margaret Atwood is brilliant, and this book is as well. The back has a snippet from the book, and it's one of my favorite quotes. Sometimes I whisper it over to myself. Murderess. Murderess. It rustles like a taffeta skirt along the floor. Grace Marks, female fiend, femme fatale, or weak and unwilling victim. It's also, in my opinion, an unreliable narrator. I wanted to write a paper about this, but my professor wasn't, I don't know, he had some thoughts about it and he thought it wasn't suitable. I don't know why, but anyways, incredible book. And same with Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. This is so exciting to read. It's about chess and about a young girl who lives in an orphanage, and she is becoming one of the most brilliant chess players. And you really get sucked into the story, you feel with the character, and even though I already knew the story, I was so into it and wanted to read the whole book, and even I could reread it because it's so good. Also the series, if you get to watch it, I personally think it's 2 of the best series, Alias Grace and Queen's Gambit, with incredible actresses, so their work is just so good. Last but not least, the next few books, or basically anything by Friedrich Dürrenmatt, who is a Swiss author. He was born in 1921. He is an incredible writer. So if you get to read any of his books, I'm not sure if it really matters what you read, because anything I have read so far was incredible. I also saw some of his plays on stage, and it was just brilliant. So I have Der Richter und sein Henker, which is a crime novel. One of the most famous ones by him is Der Besuch der alten Dame, and there is also a movie, I think. The third one that I have here is Der Verdacht. These are also books that you often read in German schools, and I cannot recommend them enough. The thing with his stories is that it's so thrilling, and they go into so many directions, and all of a sudden there are incredible plot twists. The characters are so well made. The dialogues and the narrative, also, like I said, very exciting. And the special thing is also that it really plays with societal norms and certain ideas. And all of a sudden you get a little bit shaken in certain views, because some of the characters are so twisted, and some of the things that happen. Give it a go if you've never heard of it. In my surrounding, everyone kind of knows it because it's very popular, because you often read it in school. But if you didn't know it, Friedrich Dürrenmatt, very special. I'm pretty sure that there are English translations. I think it's popular enough. I was also thinking of writing my master thesis about his work, but he's Swiss and I'm studying Austrian studies, so that wouldn't happen. These were some special books from my collection. I do have a lot more that I love to talk about. I didn't even touch on my fantasy collection. You can obviously see that I love fantasy. Fantasy is a big part of my life as well, but this might be a subject for another video, and I always talk about it anyways. So yeah, it is time to finish my tea and actually go to work to the library now. So I hope you have a lovely autumnal time wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.